Hello, my name is Shauna Carmichael, and I'm the founder of Carmichael Family Law and Consulting, located in Brunswick, Georgia, and serving all of coastal Georgia's low country. I am an attorney, educator, and practitioner with a background in dispute resolution and family law. Most recently, I practiced general civil law in Brunswick, Georgia. Prior to that, I practiced child welfare law in Massachusetts. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. This is a very important tool for all people to inform others of your medical wishes, essentially how you want to be taken care of, what kind of care you want to receive if you're not able to speak for yourself. It's also called the Living Will, Healthcare Power of Attorney, and it's gone by a few other names. So they're all the same instrument, just periodically it changes names. The basic purpose of it does not change. But that's what I'm going to be talking to you about, how to complete the Advanced Directive for Healthcare that's currently available in Georgia. The Georgia Advanced Directive for Healthcare is available for anyone to use. You can download it from the Department of Human Services Division of Aging Services website. Like I said, it tends to be associated with older adults, but it can be used by anyone and should be used by everyone. The link will be available in the description of the video below. The document you download from that site is going to include some instructions and talks a little bit about what the Advanced Directive is and what it's for. It gives you pretty detailed instructions. If you do have questions or you're concerned about this, definitely contact an attorney who can explain it to you and help you go through that and understand what your needs and desires are. I also do recommend thinking about this a little bit first and talking to the person that you intend to designate as your spokesperson, essentially. You want them to be aware, first off, that you want to label them as your spokesperson so they're prepared in case something happens to you and they do need to speak for you. And also you want to make sure that they're willing to do so. Are they willing to follow your wishes? So this is where sometimes people find that they want to designate someone other than their spouse or their brother or their sister or their parents. They need to name someone different that you wouldn't necessarily expect because your family members may feel so invested and so strongly about you and what they want for you that they're not able to follow what you want for yourself. Okay, so there's a big difference there. And this is also why it's really important to have an advanced directive. Even if you think, my parents, my family, they know what I want. This actually sets out some guidelines. It gives doctors and everyone something to fall back on when what you want, what you have laid out as your wishes, is not what your family is saying that they want for you. So this says, there have been instances when this came up in the media or in the news. It tends to make lots of waves when one family member wants someone to, say, be taken off of life support because they've been in a coma for 5 years, whereas other family members want them to stay on and prolong their life as long as possible, no matter what. So situations like that are dramatic, they're tense, and they're really a tragedy for everyone involved. But if you complete an advanced directive for healthcare, you can kind of nip some of that in the bud, prevent that drama and that grief for your family by telling everyone what you want to happen so they don't have to make that decision for you. So as we scroll through this, again, the document itself provides a lot of instructions. It talks a little bit about what the statute that created this document is about, what it means, and what the intent is in terms of using this document. So we're going to just scroll through a lot of this quickly. You can download it and read through it on your own. You don't need me to do that for you. This is where you actually get to the part where you're filling it out. The Advanced Directive has 3 parts to it. The first part is designating someone as your healthcare agent. Again, that's your spokesperson. This is the person who's going to make decisions for you, speak for you, if you're not able to do that for yourself. You can complete this document without designating a healthcare agent, but again, this is the person who's going to speak for you. So if you don't have anyone, you don't have to list someone, but if you can, that's going to be really helpful. It gives you a voice, whereas the document itself kind of lays out guidelines. It's much more effective when you have a person who can speak for you and to make sure that doctors are following your wishes as you've laid out. The second part is your treatment preferences. So even if you don't fill out anything else, definitely fill out your treatment preferences. This is where you tell doctors, your spokesperson, your agent, what you want to be done and not to be done for you. You can also provide a little bit more of a description. Like I said, very often this is used to discuss end of life care. How much do you want them to do in terms of sustaining your life if you're terminally ill? But it can also be used to discuss what type of treatments you want, what type of care you want to receive, various things to let people know more about what your thoughts are in terms of your care, not just, checking a box. And part 3 is where you can nominate someone to be your guardian. Now, your agent or your spokesperson is not the same as your guardian. A guardian is able to make decisions for you. Okay? So a guardian is like taking your agent, your spokesperson, and giving them additional authority to make decisions for you where your wishes aren't clear or where circumstances have changed, things of that nature. So that part is optional as well. You can designate a guardian, but you don't have to. First step, you need to pick out a healthcare agent. Like I said, it's a good idea to discuss it with them beforehand. You need to have contact information for them. So this document's not going to do any good if nobody can find your agent. They need to have an address, a phone number, some way to be able to contact them, especially in the case of an emergency, because that's when this is going to become important. Is most often when something drastic has happened and you need quick responses. So name and address, that's the minimum, but having a phone number and multiple phone numbers is really the best so that this can really be effective for you. You can also designate people to be backups. So if your first choice for an agent is not available, there's somebody to be your first backup, your second backup, etc. Now, in terms of the powers of the healthcare agent, these are very strictly laid out, okay? So when you designate someone as your agent or your spokesperson, you're not giving up any authority. They really don't come into play until you can't speak for yourself and you have some type of serious or terminal medical condition. So you don't have to worry that you're going to sign this document and that all of a sudden your agent is going to be able to make all the decisions for you. That's not what this is about. What your agent can do when this document becomes effective, like I said, when there's some type of serious condition and you're not able to speak for yourself, is they can authorize your admission or discharge from a facility. They can consent or request or withhold or withdraw any type of health care, again, guided by what's in this document. And they can contract services for you, essentially sign you up for, say, a home health care provider or something like that to provide care for you. It provides some additional information here, again, very detailed, so you can read through that at your leisure. It also provides some guidance for the healthcare agent so that the agent knows what their role is. Now, the agent can also have some powers after death. So if you pass away from this condition or whatever happens, you can give them the authority to decide whether or not there's an autopsy, or they can donate your organs or your body. They can decide funeral arrangements. You can give them that authority, but you don't have to. If you want to give your agent that ability, you sign or initial by the options that you want to apply. You can also designate what you want your preferences to be. So if you want to be buried or cremated, you can initial here, and then that takes a decision out of other people's hands. You've already designated your preference. Now, this is the part that people tend to find the most difficult, is deciding their treatment preferences. So there's a lot to think about here. And I encourage you to take your time and really discuss it, not only with your significant other, if you have it, your family members, religious guidance. Really take this seriously and think about what you want and what are the ramifications, what are the consequences of that decision. So first step here is to decide when you want this document to become effective. When you have a terminal condition, that means you can't be cured, okay? And you are going to die in a relatively short period of time. Nobody wants to think about this. We want to think we're going to be around forever, but we have to recognize that something can happen at any moment. So this is a condition that's not curable, meaning if it is something that can be cured, if you have a cold, this document does not become effective because that's not incurable. It's not likely to result in death in a short period of time. This is more like you have brain cancer or you've been in a severe car accident and you're not going to recover. The second is a state of permanent unconsciousness, which again means that you are in some type of incurable or irreversible condition, something that's just not going to get better, and you're not aware of yourself, your environment, and you can't respond to your environment. Again, the basic idea, to break it down into simple terms, is you are unable to sense the world around you, and you cannot respond to the world, and you cannot speak for yourself. That's really what it comes down to. You're in a condition where you cannot speak for yourself. This part here, like I said, this document is not intended to really take away any rights. It's just to communicate your wishes and to empower people to speak for you when you're not able to speak for yourself. So this little phrase here at the top of your screen is really important. My condition will be determined in writing after a personal examination by my attending physician and a second physician in accordance with currently accepted medical standards. What that means is that there are other people, there are like guidelines, there are safety checks in place so that people can't misuse this document. Talking about your treatment preferences, there will be an area where you can fill in a little bit more about what you want or what you're thinking. Right here is basically an A, B, or C selection. Option A is to try to extend your life as long as possible, using any medication, machines, procedures that they feel in a reasonable medical judgment, meaning that a doctor feels could keep you alive a little longer. If you're not able to eat or drink, then they will provide nutrition, fluids by tube, a feeding tube in your side, or other medical means. Now keep in mind that this is not going to cure you. So this document doesn't become effective. These preferences don't become effective unless you have a terminal condition or you're in a state that you're not going to recover from. So we're not talking about treatments that could make you better. We're talking about treatments that are going to extend your life. They'll keep you living longer, but they aren't going to cure you. Option B is to allow natural death to occur. That means that you do not want any machines, medications, or procedures that could keep you alive longer but can't cure you. You are also saying that you don't want to receive nutrition or fluids by tube. You don't want a feeding tube. You don't want to receive things by IV or other medical means, except as needed to provide pain medication. So even if you're not receiving anything else, you will still receive treatment for pain to make you more comfortable. Again, keep in mind that this only comes into effect when you have a condition that can't be cured. So you're not refusing treatments that could cure your condition. You're refusing treatments that will prolong your life but not make you better. And option C is where you can break it down a little bit more in detail. If you're like, okay, well, I don't want to have a feeding tube, but I want to receive fluids. So I don't want to receive water. If I need assistance to breathe, I want to have a ventilator, but I don't want to. You get to basically pick out the options that you want. And this is if you have very specific ideas or there's some religious guidance or different things that are coming into play, you can provide more detail by using option C. And then number 8 is this is where you can really spell it out. Like if there's some thought that you're having or there's some additional information you want to put down there. So say, for example, you want to receive life-prolonging treatments, but you don't want them to do invasive procedures. Things like that. If you want to provide information about your personal values, your religious values, various information, that's where you put it. If you're a woman, you can put in here in case of pregnancy. Again, like I said, even though this document people tend to associate with older adults, it can be used by anyone. So this could be really important if you're a younger woman and you want to make sure that people understand what your wishes are if you happen to be pregnant and something happens that puts you in a condition where you can't be cured or you're not able to speak for yourself. Part 3 is the guardianship. Like I said, this is optional. You can nominate someone here to serve as your guardian in the event you're not able to make decisions for yourself and you want someone else to be able to make decisions for you. Again, it's really important to actually put contact information that's going to be effective there. None of this is going to do any good if they can't find the person that you've nominated as your agent or your guardian. Now here, this is where you can put down when you want your form to become effective. If you have some specific ideas about this, you don't want it to become effective until a certain date or until a certain type of event takes place, you can fill that out here. Now make sure that you're signing this. Don't sign this until you have witnesses present. And your witness cannot be your agent. It can't be someone who's directly involved in your healthcare, so it can't be your doctor, it can't be your nurse, something like that. It needs to be someone who's basically uninterested. They don't have a stake in this. They're not involved in it. They're just, doing you a favor and witnessing your signature on this document. And you need 2 witnesses. Okay, so you're going to sign in front of the witnesses, then the witnesses sign, and then at that point, the document is effective. You can use copies of this document. I recommend giving one to the person you designate as your agent, giving one to your primary care doctor, and then also you can file it with many local hospitals. So the hospital in your area most of them have a system for receiving these, so they have them on record if something happens to you, because that's really when you need it. And most people don't carry these around in their pocket. So if you're in an accident or something like that and they need to know what your wishes are, who to contact, you're not going to have that on you. So that's where having a copy with your agent and having a copy on file with your closest hospital is going to be really helpful. Make sure you keep a copy and also keep it up to date. So your wishes may change. Things change all the time. Your agent's contact information may change. Update this on a regular basis. Stop maybe once a year and think about it and say, hey, is this still good? And then if so, great. And if not, go back and update it.